Hi, this is Dr. Jim Fazone. I'm here with Gary Mattia, and you are in the principal's office.
Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Mattia, and we're welcoming you to the principal's office, along with Dr. Fazone, and of course, our director and producer, Mr. Nick Sikowski. Today, we're doing something that's going to be a little bit of an interesting history kind of a moment. We're talking about George Washington's crossing of the Delaware, which actually occurred on the night of December 25th to 26th, 1776, during the American Revolutionary War. And it was the first move in a surprise attack organized by George Washington. Dr. Fazone is a history buff, and he's going to fill you in with some more of these exciting facts and exciting information. So, Dr. Fazone, if you will.
Yeah, Mr. Mateo, I'm standing right here in front of the monument to Washington's Crossing at Washington's Crossing. This is where George Washington crossed the Delaware on Christmas night, 1776, and surprised the Hessians in Trenton. Now, there's a few things I think we should know, and I think there are some things we can learn from George Washington. At this point during the war, George Washington hadn't really had any significant victory. And there were talks that we were just going to give up and the revolution would be over and we would be under British rule. However, George Washington, with his army, planned an attack on the Hessians in Trenton. So I think what we can learn is that even when you're down and out and things don't look so well, because not only was he didn't have a victory, most of his men were going to be through their tour within about 6 months, and he wouldn't have an army. So he needed a big victory that night. So the planned attack was that George Washington would cross here and walk into Trenton and attack the Hessians in Trenton. And there was also another planned attack further down the river, and then further down the river yet at Dunk's Ferry in what's known today as Beverly. But those two crossings were not successful. The only successful crossing was here at Trenton, and then George Washington got all of his men across the river and all of the artillery, and they walked in and attacked. Now, there were some interesting assistants that George Washington had on that day. And you can see this is just really a nice area here. I forget, just give you an idea what the Delaware River looks like here. A nice place to visit. You can hike, you can do some trails, you can do some fishing. I got my fishing pole. Maybe I'll throw my fishing pole in after this. But there were Hessians in Mount Holly, which was about 18 miles away from here. And they were led by, and they're actually British troops in Mount Holly. And Colonel von Donop, the British colonel, was supposed to come to Bordentown. Had he gotten to Bordentown, he'd have been closer. But he was held up, actually, in Mount Holly. And word has it that it was an undercover agent that invited him to stay. And that undercover agent could have been Bessie Ross. So that's additional information. So the Colonel von Donop and his troops were 18 miles away. They heard the battle, but they couldn't get here fast enough. And the folks, the colonel that crossed down, Colonel Cadwalder, who crossed down at Dunk's Ferry, also held up some troops. So this was kind of an interesting battle. But George Washington got all the troops across. They walked in the snow where it was ice, and they made their attack. So I think this is an interesting trip. If you ever want to take a trip, I'm outdoors here. It's a lot of fresh air. And again, I said bikes and trails. But George Washington did not give up. So on that night, he had his big victory. They moved out to Valley Forge. Many of the troops re-signed, and then we were able to win the war. But George Washington, kind of like the rest of us, kind of just kept his nose to the grindstone and did the best he could in a situation where things weren't going that well. So we want you all to stay safe, wear your masks, keep your distance, stay home, and hopefully you can do some reading on the Revolutionary War if you'd like. And with the internet, you can do, with the search engines, you can do a search and cover almost any topic you'd like. So, Mr. Mattia, what else do we have for today?
I think that's it. The only thing I wanted to bring up was they used to do, and I don't know if they still do, a simulated crossing of the Delaware on Christmas Day. That was a tradition for many, many years where you could go down and take a look as they actually did it. I'm not sure if they've done that in the last couple of years, though, Dr. Fazone. So
Well, they
Uh-oh.
were doing it up until I guess the COVID really didn't hit. So I think that I remember seeing it last year. I wonder maybe they won't do it this year with the COVID
Right.
situation the way it
Right.
is. But yeah, those reenactors. That's a fun thing to see. They reenact a lot of the battles.
It is.
The battle at Assapenk's is one that they cover from time to time. So yeah, those reenactors are fun. So I guess from all of us, we hope you stay close with your studies, continue with the virtual learning process, and we'll see you next week in the principal's office. Bye bye.
Thank you.